So day 9 of our video series, I'm going to give you guys some updates as far as how the code is coming along for our smart contract and as far as what we're kind of running into at the moment with ChatGPT. So let me go ahead and share my screen. So currently, the way we're running our project is on a zero cost basis. Currently, I am pretty tight on funds, so I don't have the paid for plan of ChatGPT. I'm going to need to get this because this is kind of annoying running into the you've hit your limit for the free plan notification all the time, but it is what it is. So essentially what we worked on today is working back, given I had tried to implement some marketplace features with the original contract we had tested out beforehand with the profit distribution. And while the profit distribution mechanism worked properly with the first initial supply of NFTs, it did get a little bit wonky as far as when we tried to add on a larger supply later on. So I'm going back to start to work on the initial core contract, which is going to be the fund distribution mechanism. So people can mint the NFTs. Me as the owner, I can distribute funds to it. And that's kind of the core concept of a lot of these projects that we're going to be building around real estate, around business acquisitions. So getting that portion set up properly is going to be integral. And so, yeah, we're going back to revise. Now, like I had mentioned before, in my advice for people who may be just starting to get into the smart contract space, you want to think almost like an engineer. You want to keep things simple and layer things on as you ensure that everything is running smoothly for the base, for the foundation. So that's essentially what we did. I will scroll back. Where is it? Okay, yeah. So essentially, just to pick up where we had left off, it had given us a step-by-step instruction for how to create the marketplace contract, but I let it know I wanted to work on everything going on with our original contract first for the profit distribution. So very specific. I included the things that I liked with the first contract, as well as telling it to go back to before we had implemented some of its suggestions. So we have a lot of our core features that came with the first bit of code that it had spit out for us. Once I gave it the instructions, we kind of rolled back just as far as how complex the contract actually is. We want to keep things simple, especially given I myself am a beginner, and I'm sure many of you guys who may be coming to the channel just to learn how to do this in the first place might be in the same boat. So once it verified everything that we want, the core features as well as the core functions, it spit out the code for us. We were able to put this into Remix, and this is just kind of a summary of the contract again. And then it gave us an outline for testing. So I'd copied the code over to Remix, and when I had first initially copied the code, I had gotten an error. Now, this was an error that we had encountered similar to before, where in the constructor, it didn't specify that the person deploying the contract was going to automatically be set as the owner. So it's a really simple fix. Originally, we just had ERC 721 microgreens NFT and then the symbol and then the following. ChatGPT just had us add this portion in, which is the ownable message sender. So this again specifies that the owner is going to be set to the one deploying the contract. We pretty much just copy and pasted the error that it gave us, and it gave us a solution. So simple fix. And then we went to testing out the contract. So we headed over to deploy. We had set the parameters so that we had deployed with 810 Way for the mint price, 3 NFTs as initial supply, and then we set the address for one of the wallets that we have in our test environment. So we were able to deploy the contract, and then we were able to test out some of those basic features. So initially, I noticed with the recovery address for the previous contract, we were able to actually set that. Maybe this is a recover ownership from the recovery address. I got to test this. This will be something we come back to, but this was just more so my observation. I noticed I couldn't set the recovery address. I couldn't change it if I wanted to change it to another address like I could before. So we may add that back in at some point, but that's not the core feature or the core focus of this contract. So right now we're going to focus on the core functionalities, which is going to be distribution as well as security. So the security measure that I have in place is as far as if someone steals an NFT, I don't want to be constantly paying somebody who is a thief. So essentially, I will have a burn feature that is worked into the contract where if an NFT is stolen, the original holder can reach out to me. We'll burn the NFT that was stolen, and then I can mint and replace a new one for them. We'll get into that in a second, but essentially just walking you guys through what we had done and what we had fed back to ChatGPT. So once I realized the initial stuff with the recovery address, that's cool. Move on to the first test, which was minting. So we minted two NFTs to one wallet, which was this wallet up here. And then we minted one NFT to the wallet below it. Everything seemed like it worked fine, but I did notice that the Ethereum that was paid for minting the NFTs was deposited into the contract and it wasn't sent directly to the owner address. So, given people who use this contract, I'm going to want them to be able to take the revenue that they produce from the NFT sales and to be able to buy more trucks, to be able to buy another production unit for a microgreens rack, be able to buy another piece of property, whatever they're using this contract for, they should be able to receive the funds to their account and then be able to convert that into USD to be able to purchase and buy one of those assets to produce the cash flow. So I will need to make sure that we do integrate a feature where either the owner can withdraw the ETH, but preferably it's just immediately transferred to the owner. And then after we had written that for ChatGPT, we next tested the profit distribution. So this seemed to work just fine. As you guys can see from the wallets, the wallet that had two NFTs received two Ether, and the wallet that had minted one NFT received one Ether. So we do need to test the function as far as dispersing funds if we've increased the supply and now there's new NFTs that have been minted. But as far as the initial supply, everything seems to be working just fine here. So after testing the distribution mechanism, we then went to the burn mechanism. And this is when we had encountered the error as far as not being able to actually produce the replacement. So essentially, I just explained what I ran into. I was able to successfully burn the second NFT minted. So we just burned one of the NFTs that was held in the wallet that minted two. And then when we had went to mint the new one, I changed the mint price given I, as the owner, would not want to have to pay Ethereum to mint a replacement, given I already received Ethereum. And I definitely wouldn't want the person who was stolen from to have to pay for a new replacement either. So I set the mint price to 0, and then I went to mint the replacement. Maybe that's something on my end. Maybe there is a structure for how to do it with this contract, which I'll have to look into. But essentially, I did run into an error. It told me that, well, I didn't even honestly know how to interpret it. It told me this. So I essentially just included it in my message, and ChatGPT gave us an analyzation of what we're running into. So it then recommended us we can have this set up so only the owner is minting the replacement, or the person who's able to mint the replacement is the wallet that held the NFT. But given if a thief is the wallet that last held the burned NFT, we wouldn't want the thief to be the only person to mint the replacement. So anywho, what I'm trying to say is we as the owner will likely be the one implementing the replacement feature. And so we as the owner would mint the replacement and send it to our supporter who was unfortunately stolen from. This, again, this is something that maybe is not the highest priority focus level, just given that Ethereum is pretty secure. That is the reason that we chose this chain to use for our project. But I do want to have that feature there just because I do know there are some bad players. And I think it's a good function. If for whatever reason you need to burn the NFT in the supply, you can. So we will work on integrating that. And essentially that's what we had attempted to do last, which we went through a little bit of back and forth with ChatGPT as far as the code, because it did give us some errors. So first it gave us an error as far as the code was requiring that the token existed, but this is before we've even deployed the contract. So obviously a token doesn't exist. With ChatGPT, I haven't seen it solve this error yet for me personally. So we're going to have to play around and see if we can get this to work on our next session. But I do have to wait until 1:42 a.m. to keep working, just given I am running on the free plan. So that's kind of where we left off for today. just kind of troubleshooting. But we will be back on to be able to get that resolved and hopefully get this contract all ironed and smoothed out. So that is the end of our recap for today. If you guys found value from this video or from any of the videos in our series that we've been logging, make sure to hit subscribe. I'm going to be posting as I continue to develop on this project and build this into a very, very cool company that you guys will see come to fruition in 2025. So that being said, I will see you guys on the next video.